Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to this presentation. Such an honor to meet you guys here. We are from Group 5 English Class 8. Would like to present a presentation about startup in modern life. The purpose of this presentation, which is to tell how important a startup is, how many startups that exist in Indonesia, how to build a startup, and what is the importance of the startup in this era. But before that, let me introduce myself and introduce my group members. My name is Tio Dwi Ardana with an NRP 50 to 520 1099. My group members Gary Febrian Setiara with NRP 50 to 520 1151, Davin Almas Nusantara with NRP 50 to 520 1064, Ahmad Ibnu Malik Rahman with NRP 50 to 520 1232, Rahmat Faris Akbar 50 to 520 1003, and Tengku Fredly Reynaldo with NRP.
In this slide, I will explain about definition of startup. What is startup? A startup is a young company founded by one or more entrepreneurs to develop a unique product or service and bring it to the market. By its nature, the typical startup tends to be a shoestring operation with initial funding from the founders or their friends and families. One of the startup first tasks is raising a substantial amount of money to further develop the product. To do that, they have to make a strong argument, if not a prototype, that support their claim that their idea is truly new or a great improvement to something on the market. Next slide is 3 ways to build startup. Step 1 is business plan, goals of business. One way to set your startup off on the right path is to write a good business plan. Using the market research you did earlier, create your plan of attack and decide what you want to accomplish with your new business. Determine goals and milestones and what steps you need to make it to those milestones. Next step is computer science, the application of computer and computing as well. If you need some additional resource and expertise, consider applying for an accelerator. An accelerator is a program for startup business that helps speed the growth of the company by providing a mentor network and sometimes a small investment. The next step is marketing control, monitoring the proposed plans and the process and adjusting where necessary to update your startup and fix some of bugs in application.
The next subtopic is startup data distribution. Um, from the statistical data we get from the internet, the continent that creates the most startups is the continent of America. The percentage reached 40% of all existing startups, then followed by the European continent, which percentage reached 25%, and then there is the Australia continent as much as 20%. And the last, the ASEAN continent, is the lowest rank. The ASEAN continent is at the lowest rank, and the startups originating from the continent are only 15% of the total startups. The American continent can be a center for startups because the United States is a country that has the most advanced technology in the world. The United States is often referred to as the leader of the superpowers countries all over the world. While the continent of Asia is the continent with the less startups. That is because on this continent, many developing countries do not yet have qualified technology. the majority of countries in the ASEAN continent still find it difficult to accept the times and technological developments. However, there are also several countries in the ASEAN continent that have super sophisticated technology. An example is China and India. Uh, how about Indonesia? So Indonesia has at least 604 startups. Based on kominfo.go.id, the Indonesian startups organization is 0.0001%. This is still far from the target that must be achieved, namely 0.1%, which is the average startup of developed countries. Um, this means that the number of startups in Indonesia is still very far behind the developed countries. Even so, Indonesia has several giant startups that are very well known, including Traveloka, Tokopedia, and the biggest is Gojek.
Based from a survey, 50% of college students don't have any plan to build a startup, and the other 28% don't even know about startup, and the other 22% have plan to build startup. So from this survey, we can see that there is a huge gap between those who have plan to build startup and those who don't have any plan to build startup. So from here, we are wondering, what is the reason why there is a lot of college students don't want to build a startup company? And this is the reason. First is their fear of failure, and the second is their fear of bankrupt. And then inadequate resource to start a business, and then they feel that there is no exposure of entrepreneurship on building a startup company, and they also don't want the stress of entrepreneurship. And the last is they don't have any business plan of their own startup company. So those are the reason why they don't want to build a startup company.
Okay, the next, how to build a startup. The first, find problem. Find the problem that you actively want to solve, that you are best suited to solve, and that has significant opportunity built in. The second is ideation and solution. Make a brilliant ideation and solution to problem that you found before, which can solve the problems and can develop into a startup. The third is find your dream team. You can team up with your friends. The number of people in your team should not be too big. Still, they should have high level of inner motivation on company's value creation. And the next is marketing plan. Marketing plan is an important aspect of your startup, particularly if you want to be profitable. The first step to define a marketing strategy for your startup is study your target audience. And then you have many options at your disposition, like starting with an easy social media strategy or for your startup. The next is business model. Business model is a description of how your company will go about making a profit. It is a complete overview of the operation of a business. The customer you will be approaching, what and how you'll sell to them, and how all these different parts interrelate and support each other. And the last is funding. You can find a major customer or a complementary business who sees such value in your idea, and they are willing to give you an advance on royalty payments to complete your developments. You also can find an investor who invests money in qualified startups, usually with a proven business model and ready to scale.
Okay, let's move to the next slide. It's the top 3 biggest startup companies in Indonesia available. The first one is Gojek. Gojek was founded by Nadiem Makarim, Kevin Alui, Michelangelo Morat, and in 30 October 2010. And the headquarters is in Jakarta, Indonesia. And as you know, Gojek is revolutionary because in Indonesia, Ojek is very, very popular back then. But with technology improving, Gojek is now, so we can hire Gojek everywhere. Just tap, 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 and they will come to our place or our spot. And there is an achievement that Gojek got its greatest transaction value in Indonesia 2020. Startup in Indonesia and top 10 disruptor companies in the world. Next. Next is Tokopedia. Tokopedia was founded by William Tanuwijaya, Leotius Alpha Edison. It's founded in 6 February 2009. And as you know, this is the best e-commerce in Indonesia because this is the most popular in Indonesia because of there's so much. And as you know, Tokopedia got many achievements, something like most valuable merchandise, biggest e-commerce in Indonesia, and most lucrative e-commerce. Next. The third one is Traveloka. Traveloka was actually it's just not the main companies. It is the second companies or junior companies. I don't know, but it is available in every Southeast Asia. So and its headquarters is in Jakarta, Indonesia. Traveloka, you can book hotel, book plane, book what, book so you just tap. If you lazy to go there just to book a ticket, so you can use Traveloka to book a ticket. So it's very easy right now. Traveloka got an achievement something like top 50 valuable Indonesian brand and one of the best Indonesian brand, and we have to support our brand. Thank you. Move to the next slide.
So the conclusion from the topic is Indonesia is still far ahead if compared to developed countries in technology and business. But we can change it if people have knowledge about startups and want to build startups. There is a quote from Will Rogers said that even if you are not on the right track, you will get run over if you just sit there. So that's the presentation of our group. If there is a word error that is unpleasant, we apologize because the perfection belongs only to God. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.